Lucille Ball and Des Arnold were the first interracial couple to ever appear on television in their sitcom show, I Love Lucy. This show premiered 16 years before the landmark Supreme Court case Loving versus Virginia, which struck down state laws banning interracial marriage in the United States. Since then, we have seen biracial marriages and families in everything, from movies to TV shows to now even print advertisement. Recently, companies and brands like JP Morgan, Chase, Harmona, Smile Direct Club, Coors Light, Macy's, Tide, Clorotic, and many other brands have featured biracial and multiracial couples and families within their advertising, in what I would like to call the biracial boom. But why are all these companies jumping onto this diversity bandwagon? Today, we'll first look at where interracial advertising started, how it's affecting our world, and lastly, how this is more than just advertising. It is actually the heart of a bigger issue. This is bigger than some corporate bottom line or cultural war. It's real people's lives. Advertisements have become the fabric of our lives, and we are bombarded with advertisements everywhere we go. When we're watching TV at home, when we're driving in our cars, when we're scrolling on our phones, they have our attention, and there used to be a time when advertisements only featured white faces and white families, and never featured biracial or Black families. But have you noticed the recent boom in biracial families being featured? When did this start? Well, not that long ago. A 2013 Cheerios television commercial made history for having the first interracial advertisement within TV ads. This commercial consisted of a little girl carrying a big box of Cheerios to her white mother to ask her several questions, who later gives the big box of Cheerios to her Black father, who's lying down on the sofa. This commercial ignited a storm, and the company and the stations were bombarded with negative and racist comments. Cheerios received so many negative comments and racist comments that they stopped airing the ad entirely. State Farm also received backlash around the same time for their engagement advertisement, which featured a Black man proposing to a white woman, which particularly attracted some criticism from racists. And as racists love to do, they stormed to Twitter with their helpful suggestions and feedback, saying things such as, State Farm, this is revolting, what is wrong with you? State Farm, I know I will not ever support a company that promotes genocide like this. And State Farm, absolutely disgusting. I am venomously opposed to interracial relationships. I will be boycotting State Farm. So even after almost 50 years of the Supreme Court deciding that state laws banning interracial marriage was unconstitutional, and you would think there's less social shame around it. However, as evidenced by a recent Old Navy ad, where some social media users described it as anti-white propaganda, or that it was promoting white genocide. There is still social hostility and challenges that face interracial marriages and families today. Positive or negative, though, companies know that they're going to get this reaction when they use interracial ads, because they're starting to recognize the economic advantages of using interracial ads. Explained Shobha Barhart, who's a marketing professor at San Francisco State University in California. He explained, while the ad may attract people who come from interracial families or couples, these advertisements also have the ability to pull in consumers whose values align with diversity within TV advertisements and other forms of advertising. So while the days of negativity are far from gone, the fact that these brands continue to feature this type of diversity means that they're having success. While interracial ads on TV may reflect an increasingly diverse America becoming more of the melting pot, they don't mirror society. Because they don't mirror society. Brando Simo Starkley, a writer for The Undefeated, which is a website that focuses on our perceptions of race and culture, said, quote, "This seems like a good sign, and it's definitely a sign of progress. but he wonders how many interracial ads solely focus on Black and white couples. Whether it's Hispanic, Asians, multi-race couples should be able to feel represented. Because according to a Morgan State University professor, Jason Johnson noted that interracial ads from the past 5 years, over 70% of those ads have only featured a white man with a Black woman, when a Black man and white woman is more common in America. He said, quote, "Ad showing a white man with a Black woman is soothing to white people because it makes them more comfortable than seeing a Black man with a white woman." In other words, many industries rather make minorities more approachable by pairing them with a white person. So let me be very clear in saying, while interracial ads on TV may be a step in the right direction, they don't make America any less racist. And it's just showing that advertisers are evolving. But American advertising still has a long way to go before it calls itself representative of the real world today. One thing we need to remember is these models who pose together for an ad isn't just an ad. It's someone's life. It's my life. It's my life that people call anti-white propaganda. It's my life that people say is disgusting and unnatural. And sadly, the numbers don't lie. Because according to research by the University of Washington of 2023, stated that biases against interracial couples are associated with disgust, and in turn lead interracial couples to be dehumanized. Such findings show that interracial relationships are still unfavorable in the United States. And this isn't just even towards people, because even advertisers are seeing this. Because according to the Journal of Advertising Research of 2022, it stated that advertisers were traditionally cautious when using advertisements that only featured interracial couples, which could ignite negative attitudes and emotions towards the ad. And I mean, history speaks for itself. The difference? This advertisement's from a decade ago. And this research was done just last year. And sadly, these injustices against interracial couples isn't just on the scale of advertising anymore. Because last March, Senator Mike Bjorn of the Republican Party, the Indiana Republican senator, stated that he would be in support of the overturning the Loving versus Virginia decision and leaving the issue of interracial marriage to the states. Overturning Loving versus Virginia, the Supreme Court case that ruled state laws banning interracial marriage violated our 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Whatever one thinks on this topic, one thing is for sure. Being in an interracial relationship or family will almost always make someone uncomfortable. This is why it's essential for advertisers to understand the responsibilities they bear in shaping societal perceptions. The images we choose to amplify have a profound impact on how people view themselves and view people in society. Biracial advertising done authentically and thoroughly has the ability to break stereotypes, barriers, and contribute to a more inclusive society. One point or another in my life, I'm going to be in an interracial relationship, then have an interracial family. But I don't ever want my kids to grow up and feel ashamed of who they are because of the blend of races they have in their skin. I don't want my kids to grow up in the type of society that I had to. When I see these ads, I see myself being represented in just a small piece of our society. And yet it gets labeled as woke propaganda. Today, we first looked at where interracial advertising started, how it's affecting our world, and lastly, how this is more than just advertising. And it's the heart of a way bigger issue.